Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism. This channel is designed to help you navigate these relationships, heal from these relationships, or ideally avoid getting into them in the first place. My hope is that this will just sort of help guide you and feel a little less insane if you're in one of these situations. If you're new to this channel, please do subscribe. It would be great to have you. And if you are really interested in doing a deeper dive on healing, please go to the video notes and hit that link if you want more information. So this video is actually sort of a postscript, a follow-up, a part two I hadn't expected because we did the video and then I sort of woke up in the middle of the night and I thought, oh my gosh, I left something out of that. So remember that video I recently did that if you're the new relationship after your partner broke up with an ex or you got into a relationship with somebody and their ex-partner was narcissistic, well, there's something I want to add to that. So let's take that on. So this was sort of funny. When I made that video, like, oh, all the things that could happen if you're in a relationship with somebody who has a narcissistic ex, I actually forgot a really important point. And I think one that's important enough that it sort of warrants its own video, like I said, postscript, if you will. It's also interesting that I did forget this point, but that's a conversation for my shrink and probably not for this YouTube channel. So we reviewed on that prior video all of the stuff about co-parenting and maybe feeling understood if you had your own narcissistic ex, or the chaos that's created by your partner having a narcissistic ex. So we covered all of that. But the piece I left out was really important. So let's break this down because I have a feeling probably some of you watched that other video and scratched your head and said, why didn't you mention this? Well, I'm mentioning it now. What about when you get into a relationship with a person who has a narcissistic ex and they're taking the stress of having to deal with a narcissistic ex out on you? Because if this is happening to you, it's not okay. And it's doubly and triply not okay if you have also endured your own narcissistic ex, or you're helping them with their children, or managing children of your own in this situation. Okay? And I'd be curious to hear how many of you might be doing that. You're with someone, they have a narcissistic ex, and they're often taking it out on you. It's not an unusual thing to have happen. Even in the best of relationships, we are not always graceful when we are under stress. We may be snappy and irritable. And in an ideal world, we not only apologize, but we clean up our act and we don't just keep repeating that cycle. Having a narcissistic ex, especially when there are still deep links to the ex, most particularly that can be caused by having shared children with them, but it can also be other stuff like an ongoing business partnership or extended family. It can put anyone on edge. So if you meet someone who is in that situation, it will become clear pretty early on that this is a particularly difficult situation. And as I shared in the prior video, the ex may also, their narcissistic ex, may also try to make your life difficult by either trying to be your friend or sending you messages that are unwanted or just stalking and intruding on your life with their ex-partner. But the pattern to keep an eye on, and this is what this video is about, is if your partner who has the narcissistic ex is offloading and displacing that stress of that ex relationship on you, lashing out at you, or getting frustrated if you express your concerns about the toll that the ex is taking on your relationship. In a word, while this may fly from time to time, it isn't going to work as an ongoing pattern. We can all have empathy for someone having a bad day and maybe being a little surly at the end of the day. But lashing out at you is not an acceptable substitute for managing their anger at their narcissistic ex. Now, there are some strategies you can consider, including couples therapies to set boundaries, assuming that your partner isn't narcissistic, finding ways to communicate about it, and setting some hard and fast ground rules. Because a narcissistic ex run amok can destroy all future relationships for their ex, including your partner now. A person, though, who has not processed how to manage the relationship with their narcissistic ex, frankly, I don't think they should be getting into a new relationship. It's not fair to the new person, and especially if that person is still cracking under the ongoing haranguing and taking it out on other people, including a new partner. If you are in a relationship with someone who has a narcissistic ex, I would strongly suggest that you have the talk and figure out the ground rules. But even if upon doing that, you find yourself getting into regular cycles of having to endure surly behavior from your partner because of their narcissistic ex, think long and hard about this relationship. It definitely is going to require that your partner get into therapy themselves to learn to manage their former relationship and themselves. You cannot be your partner's therapist and life coach, nor can you be their punching bag when they are mad about their ex-partner's behavior. And even if you have lots of empathy for them because their ex is so toxic, and this may really be magnified if you have your own narcissistic ex, there is a point at which you can no longer be the receptacle of the tension that's created by their narcissistic ex. And this video is also meant to be a bit of a mindful kick in the pants for anyone out there who has a narcissistic ex to keep all of this in check, or just really consider long and hard whether this is the time for a new relationship for you, or be in therapy so you can keep your reactions to your ex in check. Perhaps your partner, who has a narcissistic ex, still needs to figure out their radical acceptance muscle, their realistic expectations. But above all else, that even if you get all of that figured out, these relationships are maddening, especially since they are an ex, but still wreaking havoc. I got to tell you, I have seen people who are 25, 30 years plus out of their narcissistic relationships and have married new partners. And even after 25 plus years, and the kids are grown and even have their own children, their narcissistic ex is like a dog with a bone and won't let it go. Sadly, most narcissistic people do not age out of their behavior. The behavior persists, and if you are the one who left them, their vindictiveness may trail them and you for the rest of their lives. It can feel awful to be on the receiving end of anger that was generated by a person from your partner's past, and it's also not acceptable. It's not an unfixable situation, but it requires work and commitment by the person with the narcissistic ex-partner to recognize that they're going to need to find other outlets for their frustration, and that you aren't one of those. Thanks again.